absolutely explodes on PNC Park Opening Day as the Pittsburgh Pirates defeat the Chicago White Sox 13-9. We're going to get into all of it here on the Locked On Pirates podcast, brought to you by So Rare and FanDuel, live on Twitter and YouTube. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to that Pirates podcast, everybody. My name is Ethan Smith, host of the Locked On Pirates podcast, where it is your team, your Pittsburgh Pirates, every single day. And I'm not even going to ask you guys if you're having a good day, because I know you're having a good day after this one. Just what a phenomenal showing for the Pittsburgh Pirates here at PNC Park on opening day of PNC Park here in 2023. And there was just so much to like about this game, both on the field and off the field. It all kicks off with A.J. Burnett pitching to his battery mate, Russell Martin, for the first pitch. And that just got everybody in the feels already. Then, of course, you have Michael McHenry, Greg Brown, Andrew McCutchen getting the crowd in the all black. As you can see, I'm wearing all black, not a Pirate shirt, but it is all black. Andrew McCutchen comes up to bat, and dude, it really took a lot in me not to cry. And even McCutchen said the same thing after he was interviewed after the fact, that it took him a lot to not break down and cry there. And emotionally, I don't know how you can have an MLB caliber at bat in that kind of moment, but he did. He kicks it off with a single. And this game just had so many ups and downs. It had so many different things about it. Obviously, the White Sox take the lead in the first. The Pirates take it back in the second. The White Sox take it back in the third. The Pirates take it back in the fourth. The White Sox take it back in the fifth. The Pirates explode in the fifth inning with 5 runs. And then things finally started to settle down. But there was just so much to like about this game. Obviously, if we're going to get into some quick things real quick, before we do that, I am going to acknowledge everybody that is here. Harperman says, I finally managed to catch one of the live streams again in Pirates. Fun fact, that sweep with the Sox, there was no doubt about it. Of course, you're not wrong there. We actually had somebody in the comments section say they were going to sweep the Red Sox. So there you go. Alex Casora says, what a game. Harry Iglesias says, hodgepodge of Jolly Rogers. Yes, that has all been going on. And just some early notes from this game from the box score. This was Dowry Moretta's, or as I like to call him, Dowry Money Moretta's first major league win. Will Crow picked up the 3-inning save. Bryan Reynolds, of course, was a double short of the cycle and a 3-for-5 effort with 6 RBIs. Dude, the bottom of the order, by the way, I'll just go box score here, and then I'll talk about it here in a minute. Connor Joe, 4-for-5, 2 runs, 1 RBI. G1 Bay, 3-for-5, 2 runs, 1 RBI. Jason DeLay, 3-for-5, 2 runs, 1 RBI. Dude, the bottom of the order today was just electric. I mean, even if you go to the top of the order, it was also pretty electric too. You're talking about Ke'Bryan Hayes hitting 2-for-5, McCutchen hitting 2-for-5, O'Neal Cruz 1-for-3, drawing 2 walks and 2 very good walks, may I add, in terms of staying patient at the plate. I already mentioned Bryan Reynolds, 3-for-5 with 3 runs and 6 RBIs. Really, if you think we'll keep our winning streak until Mondays, we verse the Astros. I won't go that far yet, Kingston. We do still have 2 games to go, but if this team somehow manages to go into next week 7-2, I mean, things are going to get real funky in Pittsburgh if this team starts the year 7-2. But obviously the positives, Bryan Reynolds being the biggest positive here, had that triple that ended up clearing the bases, that ended up being a little league home run on the error. Again, double short of the cycle. He homers. Again, he leads Major League Baseball in home runs still with 5 home runs. On top of that, he also has had a base hit in all 7 games so far this season. O'Neal Cruz added an RBI to his total. Carlos Santana had that freaking moonshot over the Clemente wall that looked really good. The only real negatives I think that we could take away from this game, if we're going to take anything away from it here negatively, Rich Hill is going to have to figure out this home run problem. This was a game where the Pirates offense thankfully came to play, because if the Pirates offense didn't come to play today, and like we kind of saw in that Red Series, if we would have got the Red Series Pirates offense, this would have been a blowout on opening day. But the Pirates thankfully showed up offensively. But Rich Hill ended the day with 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 7 earned runs. It was just bad. Like, I didn't understand it. Realistically, I also didn't understand why Derek Shelton left him in there for so long. There was a lot not to like there about that start from Rich Hill, and the fact that he's already allowed, I believe, 4 or 5 home runs on the season, a couple in this game. You don't really want to see that from Rich Hill. You brought Rich Hill in to be a steady veteran presence. You brought him in to bring you innings. Outings like this are not going to do that. Outings like the outing he had in Cincinnati are not going to do that. Quinn Priester time and release Rich Hill. I would pick a lot of pitchers before I pick Quinn Priester, and I wouldn't release Rich Hill just yet. Rich Hill isn't getting high school hitters out with an 85-mile-per-hour fastball. It's concerning right now. And the other part of it that's concerning is the fact that he's leaving it up in the zone, too. I think that's something that we really have to keep an eye on, and that Oscar Marine's going to have to really keep an eye on with Rich Hill. He's going to have to bring that fastball down. It's not fast. It never really has been. The curveball, too. He was leaving that curveball up a lot, too. I don't know if it was something maybe with the environment and the atmosphere for Rich Hill. I mean, albeit he's been in the league since 2005, so that shouldn't affect him. But you never really know how that kind of thing is going to affect a player, and maybe it just negatively affected him here. Who knows? But this kind of start cannot happen if you're a guy like Rich Hill, who was brought in to be that steady veteran presence. And I think JT Brubaker's injury is going to be amplified because of this. And I agree with you, Harper, man. I do think Hill will figure it out to an extent. But we'll see. And then, of course, you go back to the pitching. Dauri Moreta, man, he just comes into games and he's shut down right now. I mean, the first couple of appearances we've seen from him, I believe he's up to his 4th appearance now today. 2 innings pitched, 2 Ks, 1 walk, no earned runs. Dauri Moreta has been a steady bullpen option for this team right now, and the bullpen also did very good in this game with the Pirates having a heavy lead to save some of this bullpen throughout the remainder of the weekend, and also save them going into next week against Houston and St. Louis, who are going to be much tougher teams than what I think they're playing right now, because this White Sox team, very talented team. Luis Robert, who you guys saw me, or Luis Robert Jr., who you saw me tweet earlier today that I said he's one of my favorite players in all of baseball, and you saw why today. The kid can hit. Tim Anderson's very good. Yohan Moncada, who we hope he's okay. It looked like he kind of had an issue there injury-wise on a pitch. You have Jake Berger, Yasmani Grandal. This is still a very good lineup that is not including Eloy Jimenez. So you have to be careful with this lineup. And I think tomorrow's game, where we do see, I believe it's going to be Vince Velasquez and Mike Clevenger, I think you're going to get a good idea of another game a lot like this. Not saying the Pirates are going to have 19 hits again and 13 runs, and I'm not saying the White Sox are going to have 11 hits and 9 runs again, but there is a strong chance that we get a game like this again tomorrow. We're going to continue talking about everything great that happened today. We're going to keep breaking down some stuff, keep answering your questions here on the Locked On Pirates podcast. Today's episode, of course, is brought to you by So Rare. So Rare, of course, SORARE, is a revolutionary, fantasy baseball game and marketplace, transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 NBA or MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next level competitions and rewards. So Rare also recently partnered with Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez to serve as brand ambassadors. Both are featured in So Rare's current brand campaign and will engage with the So Rare community throughout the season at MLB events. Head to SoRare.com/lockedon. That's SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's SoRare.com/lockedon to start playing today. Kingston, I will agree with you. They need to sign Bryan Reynolds. Everything I've seen so far is crazy, and I just wish as a fan base we would be able to embrace what he is doing without having to say, why don't we sign him to an extension? And I thoroughly think that will get figured out at some point. It is something that I see the Pirates getting done at some point. I don't know if it's right now. I don't know if it's in the middle of the season. I don't know if it's after this year. It's going to get done. Can't forget about O'Neal Cruz chucking cannonballs. Yeah, dude, he was doing some good stuff there. And also, what's your opinion on Dwayne Underwood Jr.? With some of these bullpen arms so far, Harper, man, that have been starting the season the way they have, like Dowry Moretta, Colin Holderman, David Bednar, um, Will Crow even had a good outing today outside of that ninth inning where I think he just got a little too comfortable with that big lead. Dwayne Underwood Jr. is going to be kind of that fill-in guy, I think, and I think that role suits him very well. The last couple years that we've seen him, he's been kind of a guy that has had to take on a big role with this team in the bullpen, and I don't think he has to do that as much anymore. I think him and Jose Hernandez can be very good fill-in spots for this team, and if the bullpen continues to perform the way they are, I'm perfectly fine with Dwayne Underwood being in that spot. And I mean, you're going to see things like Chase DeYoung is another guy I think that could eventually just be a fill-in spot when a guy like a Moretta needs a day off, or when a guy like David Bednar needs a day off, or stuff like that. I think that's what Dwayne Underwood Jr. will ultimately be. Now, it will kind of be interesting to see how you really want to adjust to this when a guy like Robert Stevenson comes back, when they eventually want to move maybe Johan Oviedo to the bullpen as a long relief arm. There's going to be a lot of moving parts with this pitching staff throughout the entire year, which leads into another great question from Kingston. What's your opinion on if we call up Endy Rodriguez? Well, it's not if, but when. Right now, I see no point in it. I think he still has things to improve on at AAA. I would say he is the best catcher the Pirates probably have available outside of right now Jason DeLay. The way he's playing is playing perfectly fine. Austin Hedges already having an injury this early in the year is kind of concerning. So I did put June as my kind of statement for when Endy Rodriguez would be up here. But if Austin Hedges does become an injury issue, I don't really think you want to run with Jason DeLay and Tyler Heineman for the entire year, because right now it's really fun and all sunshine and rainbows with Jason DeLay and Tyler Heineman. But I'm also here to tell you we've already seen that duo be that back there at catcher, and it hasn't done too much. It just hasn't done too well. So I do think Endy will be up here late May, early June at some point, and that's also the fun part about this start so far is the Pirates, of course, 5-2 with a 13-9 victory over the Chicago White Sox today. This team's only going to get better. You're looking at guys like Leo Piguero. You're looking at guys like Nick Gonzalez. You're looking at guys like Endy Rodriguez, Luis Ortiz. Osvaldo Bido is another guy that you can even include in that pitching spot. Cody Bolton, Carmen Majinski, Quinn Priester, maybe near the back end of the year. Mike Burrows is another guy that I think that can really do some things for this team when they come up here. So, yeah, we have to live with the Rich Hills of the world right now and the struggles that he's having early on in the year. Yeah, we have to live with Vince Velasquez if he ends up having a subpar outing tomorrow. But eventually, just know that the Pittsburgh Pirates have pitching options that are going to be up here from AAA pretty soon. And I know Quinn Priester was mentioned earlier, but I really think Quinn Priester out of that entire bunch would be the last person that I would bring up. I don't think he's ready for the majors yet. I think he still has some things to work on. Luis Ortiz, I still think he has to work on a secondary pitch. But right now, the veterans on this team that are stepping up, Carlos Santana had a slow start. He's kind of picked it up the last couple of games. You're looking at guys like Andrew McCutchen who are bringing very good vibes to this clubhouse and a good sense of what you want to get done with this team. You're thinking about all these things that are happening while Bryan Reynolds is making a big impact as a veteran presence. You're seeing O'Neal Cruz do O'Neal Cruz things. You're seeing Ji-Hwan Bae kind of take that second base position away from Rodolfo Castro right now. That's something that really has surprised me early out of the gates with Ji-Hwan Bae, as he's played very well, but he did not have a very good spring training at all. And lots of people, including myself, were basically planting Rodolfo Castro in as the starting second baseman to begin the year, but that his position could have been taken. Ji-Hwan Bae so far with the play that he has had has taken it. I mean, again, you guys heard me mention it earlier. Ji-Hwan Bae was 3 for 5 today, a part of that 7-8-9 group that just had a phenomenal game. The only time I don't think Ji-Hwan Bae really plays is when they face lefties, which is where I think Rodolfo Castro still comes in and fits in very well. He plays good against lefties, but you're not going to be playing lefties that often. So I do think as of right now, Ji-Hwan Bae has to probably be your second baseman. But to also mention another guy that has kind of been somebody that was a topic over the offseason, Jack Sawinski is not it right now, dude. Among all the offensive fireworks that we saw today from the Pittsburgh Pirates, Jack Sawinski, of course, was the only player in the starting lineup not to record a hit. I also believe he had 4 strikeouts. It was either 3 or 4 strikeouts. I can't remember. But I've said it before about him, too. There's going to be guys that are going to fend him off at that center field spot. Defensively, he's fine. I think he's perfectly fine defensively. He made some good catches out there, but you're going to have to hit the baseball to stay in this lineup with this team right now. And you're looking at a guy like Travis Swaggerty, who a lot of people expected to actually make the team coming out of spring training. He's in AAA right now, and he's arguably just as good defensively as Jack Sawinski. Maybe he brings you more of a bat. It is still very early. We're only 7 games in. So I think they're going to give Jack as many opportunities as possible. But I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Bryan Reynolds stay in left field and then Connor Joe stay in right field, because that seems like to be a good thing right now. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see Ji-Hwan Bae move out to center. Ji-Hwan Bae is very fast out there. He's very good defensively out there. And then that opens up things for second base. You can have Rodolfo Castro and Ji-Hwan Bae in the lineup at the same time against righties. And when you put lefties in there, just shift Reynolds over to center field and then Kanan Smith-Njigba to left field if you want to put him in there. There's a lot of different things that this team can do with the lineup that they currently possess. And outside of it today, I mean, Jack Sawinski was really the only negative a part of this entire offensive explosion that the Pirates had. Harperman says, I've been having trouble catching these live streams for a long while. Did the schedule change, or am I just bad at catching this awesome live podcast more often? No, Harperman, I just am kind of doing these. I'm kind of doing these after the games as the episodes. So that way you guys are getting your instant reactions in. I think you guys enjoy having my instant reactions as episodes rather than, me talking about this like tomorrow morning or talking about it this morning and then not having any reaction after what was a crazy day. I just think that it gives more vibes to what is available after that. I think that me giving you a live reaction is better than waiting until the next morning or waiting a little bit afterwards to give more of a full analysis of it. But we're still Monday through Friday anyway. You guys got 2 episodes on Monday. You got the Tuesday show, or we didn't have a Tuesday show. I don't remember if we had a Tuesday show. Yeah, I know we definitely had a Wednesday show. We had the show yesterday with Craig, and then we have today. Dave White and Stefan say Castro's a better righty hitter. I think Castro will get it together. I'm not sold on Connor Joe long term. There's still a lot of people concerned about long-term things with this baseball team in terms of some of these guys, but this is what I say to most people right now. Relish in the fact that this team looks like an actual baseball team for the first time in 4 years. When was the last time we've seen the Pirates come out of the gates like this and look this good? It has been a while. And, they put up record numbers today at PNC. The offense is doing really good things after a subpar series against the Reds. Pitching has mostly been fine outside of this Rich Hill start and the Oviedo start on Tuesday. The bullpen, though, has just been shut down, man. 2019, Stefan, yeah, I agree. I believe. What did we start in 2019, Stefan? I can't remember what our record was that year, but I know we started off really well because Josh Bell was just cannonballing everything, and Adam Frazier was an on-base machine that year. So I do remember that, and then I believe that was Bryan Reynolds as well, his debut season. So I do remember the Pirates getting off to a hot start there. But right now, there's just so many good things going on with this team. There really are. There's a lot of good things. going with this team right now. The offense looks really good, but we're going to preview the rest of the series right after I tell you guys about FanDuel. That is the wrong thing. There we go. Make every moment more at FanDuel.com/lockedon at FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and MLB baseball is here. And now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers and threes drained. You can bet on the spread, money lines, and totals, player props, and so many more exclusive bets. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. And make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network and the NBA. Harperman says, Dave says, wonder how their ticket sales are right now. Got to be selling some tickets for future games now. I do know the game was a sellout today, and it was announced on the broadcast that the game was a sellout today, and it was the largest crowd the Pirates have had since 2016, I believe, which was also a home opener. Harperman says, I am relishing us having a chance at an 81-81 record. I won't go that far yet. And Kingston says, I love the development of Rowanzi and Keller. Yes, and speaking of that, Johan Oviedo and Vince Velasquez, of course, will be pitching the remainder 2 games of this series against the Chicago White Sox at PNC Park to kick off the first homestand of the year, where the Houston Astros will follow, who will end up seeing Rowanzi Contreras and Mitch Keller in back-to-back games against the defending champion World Series champions, the Houston Astros. As you guys can tell, I'm very excited right now, so things are just pumping away. Tomorrow, Mike Clevenger, Vince Velasquez, 2 off-season additions from both of these teams will be on the bump for both of these teams. And Clevenger in his first start actually had 5 scoreless innings. I forget who he played against. I want to say, was it the Astros that he did that against? Yes, it was. It actually was against the Astros that he did that against. So Clevenger, of course, has a scoreless 5-inning outing against the Houston Astros. So we'll see if the Pirates can attack him early. We remember Vince Velasquez in his start, of course, having a 5.79 ERA, 1.29 WHIP, and 4 2/3 innings pitched. That was, of course, against the Cincinnati Reds on Sunday. So we'll see if Vince Velasquez can have kind of a bounce-back start here against the Chicago White Sox. And then on Sunday, we get Michael Kopech and Johan Oviedo. Michael Kopech got blown up in his first start of the year with a 13.5 ERA over 4 2/3. Johan Oviedo, kind of a similar story, 7.71, 4 2/3 innings pitched. The whips are both in the 2s, so you don't want to see that at all. I would say tomorrow, I would expect things to kind of teeter down a little bit on the offense. I'm not saying runs aren't going to be scored, but I don't think we're going to see 30 combined hits tomorrow. Sunday, I think that could come back. But it's really just going to be interesting how the Pirates attack the White Sox the rest of this series, because I did hear that statistic on the broadcast about the White Sox bullpen right now and how bad it really is. I believe they said they had 22 walks over 26 innings or something like that entering today's game. So if the Pirates can get past Clevenger and Kopech and get to that bullpen again, I think things get really, really interesting. And I also want to shout out some of you guys that are on Twitter tweeting at me right now. Aaron Lasecki says, I expect an entire segment on pay Bryan Reynolds on the next podcast. We'll see you on Monday. Monday's going to be a little bit interesting because I don't know if it's going to be a Gary Morgan Monday, but it'll definitely be an episode that we get. The new Pirate generation getting something good to watch this year. The reference was intentional. It should be intentional. I would love for that to come back. And after Sunday, I think a lot of what's happening right now, too, is just the duality of being a baseball fan. After Sunday, it sucked. We lost 2 of 3 to the Cincinnati Reds to start the year. The Pirates, no doubt, know that they should be better than Cincinnati this year. It's not how they wanted to start the year. They go to Fenway and get a sweep where I predicted them to win 1 game that entire series, and they get the sweep. And then they win today. And it's 13-9. Obviously, for you University of Pittsburgh fans, You know the reference. Sorry, WVU fans. Shout out to Christopher Carter over at Locked On Steelers. He knows what I'm talking about. But they've won 4 in a row, and they've done it in multiple ways. They did it with good pitching. They've done it with the bullpen doing phenomenal things. They've done it with these offensive explosions in certain innings. They've done it by fighting back in a couple of these games, too. That Red Sox game, they had to fight back from down 5-3. This game, they had to fight back down from 7-5. This Pittsburgh Pirates team is fun, folks. It is a very fun team that has a lot of options available at their disposal that are going to be very fun and could have a chance to be here for a long time. And it's only going to get better, as I mentioned earlier. Endy Rodriguez is going to be up here soon. Nick Gonzalez is going to be up here soon. Leover Peguero is going to be up here soon. And some of these guys that are underperforming right now are going to be guys that, aren't just going to be here anymore because of the fact that roster spots are open. These guys have to earn their roster spots. And I love it. I love it right now. And 2 more games in this series, we'll see how the Pirates fare. I mean, I would love for them to win this series and guarantee being over 500 going into next week with the Astros and the Cardinals awaiting them. Of course, they get the Astros at home and the Cardinals in St. Louis. So things will pick up a little bit in terms of the talent they'll be facing. But we'll see how the rest of this weekend goes. Dave actually said what I was going to say, too. Hope you all have a great Easter weekend. Yes, everybody have a great Easter weekend. Celebrate accordingly how you do. Everybody, I hope you guys see your family and all that, too. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Of course, we'll be back on Monday. We'll see if Gary's going to be on or not. He should be, but we'll see. I wouldn't see why he wouldn't be. If not, we'll probably have a crossover with Eric Hausman and H-Town Wheelhouse over at Locked On Astros, which will do really fun stuff. And Dave, the Cards have not looked too good this year. It's very early. The Cardinals are the Cardinals. They'll figure it out. Before I go, how long does Dwayne Underwood Jr. have in Pittsburgh? Just curious. I think he makes it through this year. But then I think you're having real questions about where he fits in the bullpen at some point. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. Happy Pittsburgh Pirates opening day at PNC Park. I don't think we could have asked for a better way for it all to happen with Andrew McCutchen's return, A.J. Burnett and Russell Martin as the battery pitching out the first pitch, Bryan Reynolds being Bryan Reynolds, the offensive explosion, the blackout, the nice weather. I don't think we could have asked for anything better. Guys, my name is Ethan Smith of the Locked On Pirates podcast. Make sure you follow on Twitter at Locked On Pirates or at MVP_Ethan. Also, go subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, Odyssey, and turn on notifications. Guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday evening. Have a wonderful Easter weekend. And my name is Ethan Smith. I will see you on the flip side.